Hey guys, welcome back to Ranger Survival and Fieldcraft. I'm Andrew. Now what I have for you today is our cargo pocket survival kit. We're going to take a bunch of smaller survival items, place them in a waterproof container that we can store inside our cargo pocket, and then demonstrate the skills out of our cargo pocket to affect survival along the landscape, giving a military survival kit and the needs of a survivor in an isolating event. Stand by. Alright, so the container for our survival kit is going to be nothing more than a quart-sized plastic bag with 100-mile-an-hour tape wrapped around the outside. Same concept I used to keep my Ranger handbook safe and dry throughout Ranger school. We're going to use this concept to create our own container for a survival kit that fits inside our cargo pocket and holds all of our items necessary to effect survival. We can survive out of our pockets, and there's a variety of items that we can throw in our pockets to make survival that much easier if all we're left with is what's on us. Things like a water filter and a fixed blade knife. But, like a good instructor once told me, we should always have a knife, a way to start fire, and a snack in our pockets, because those are going to be the hardest things to recreate off the landscape. But having those in our pockets, there's not much that we can't accomplish in survival. I'm number one. Remember that. In any survival situation, I am number one. In wilderness or remote first aid courses, they teach you are number one, because you cannot render medical aid to a casualty if you step upon a scene and become a casualty yourself, which is why medical aid is the first step in any survival strategy or any survival situation. You need to treat yourself first to be able to carry out additional survival tasks, which is why we have a small medical aid kit inside of our cargo pocket. Besides having just a basic or simple first aid kit for cuts, scrapes, bruises, lacerations, minor injuries that we might have in the field, we should also have our individual first aid kit or a trauma kit, or the knowledge and skill to be able to treat traumatic injuries, especially things like broken bones, head injuries, major lacerations, and arterial bleeding to a casualty or to ourselves in the event those injuries are suffered out in the wild. And then practicing those skills and giving self-aid one-handed can also come in handy in future training, like applying an Israeli bandage to ourselves, as well as using materials from around us, things like our cravat or our shamag to act as a bandage, and then using natural materials like this yarrow plant, which Achilles carried into battle with his soldiers to treat lacerations and blood loss. We can use that yarrow and our cravat to establish a makeshift dressing or pressure dressing along a laceration, treat it and stop the bleeding at its source in order to survive that medical trauma and live to fight another day. The next survival priority after administering self-aid or treating a casualty out in the field is escape and evasion in a non-permissive environment. We move along our evasion plan of action, and we have a few items inside of our cargo pocket survival kit to assist us with that if we don't have any of the other items on us. That being a button compass for orienteering or land navigation. We have face paint that we can use to conceal ourselves in our natural surroundings as part of our evasion plan. And then we have a small plastic handcuff key in the shape of a button that we can sew into our clothing and conceal easily and get at to escape restraints when the time is right. As we move along our evasion plan of action, we need to have a route that sets us up at water sources. We're going to need water, especially at the pace we're exerting ourselves. 3 days for the average person to die of dehydration, probably less in our case. So having multiple ways to gather water and stay hydrated is important. One of those ways is having a pocket filter, like we demonstrated in a previous video, one that we can drink straight from the source or attach to a plastic water bottle and drink that water straight from the plastic bottle through the filter. Besides that filter, we can use our cargo pocket survival kit bag itself to scoop up some water from this dirty, nasty swamp and take it back with us to our hide site to treat with our filter or save it for later and drink it later. The beauty of this plastic bag with duct tape or 100-mile-an-hour tape is it's similar to one of our previous videos with an Arctic bag where we melted snow using our own body heat to drink from. So multiple uses for this bag. And inside of our cargo pocket survival kit, we have more water procurement items because water is so important. We have a Whirlpack bag, 32 ounces, 1 US quart or 1 liter, and then iodine tablets or water treatment tablets. We open up that Whirlpack bag, fill it with water, and then open up those tablets, 2 tablets per 1 US quart or 1 liter. Those tablets need to be gunship metal gray in color so that we know they're still good. We add those tablets, close the bag, shake it up. About 5 minutes later, reopen the bag, let the lip bleed, and then close it back up, let it rest for 30 minutes, and we're good to go. Never let a good opportunity go to waste. While we're down here at the water's edge, we can take a look around for other resources that might be available, get our bearings, and then try to find some game to go after if we're going to stay in the immediate area. One of the game that's plentiful down here around this time is going to be frogs. We can sneak up on those frogs with our frog gig or our frog spear, and getting close enough to that frog, as soon as the time's right, stab it with our spear into the swamp, reach down, pick it up, and then we've got food for the fire. Mark Twain said, "First thing in the morning, eat a live frog, and nothing bad will happen to you the rest of the day." That may be true, but we're not going to eat a live frog this morning. That's why we have a robust fire kit inside of our cargo pocket survival kit with multiple ways to start fire. We've got the aviator spark light with tinder, waterproof matches with striker. We've got a small lighter with duct tape wrap around the lighter as a tinder source or flame extender, man-made tinder in the form of wet fire, and then we have a small Scout ferro rod that we can pack inside of our cargo pocket survival kit easily enough to get a fire going in any situation. Having a fire or the ability to start fire is incredibly important in a survival scenario. It does everything for us. It cooks our food, boils our water, signals for rescue, keeps us warm, and keeps the boogeyman away at night. Having the ability to start a fire is one thing. Knowing when and then how to use that fire is another thing. In a non-permissive environment, we may not have the ability to have an above-ground fire, so we have to have some sort of concealed fire pit, either a Dakota hole, a small fire pit, or a keyhole, an H fire pit cut into the earth, whatever it is. We need to conceal that fire for our purposes. We only start a fire in this type of situation to boil water, cook our food, or get ourselves warm in an extreme emergency. But we can use a digging stick carved from our survival knife and dig our fire pit into the earth for our fire. Prior to starting our fire, we need to have everything in order and ready to reduce the amount of time that we have that fire lit and exposed, and the ability for pursuers to see that fire or smell that fire and find our location. So we're going to butcher our animal back here at camp away from the water source. That way we can keep whatever remains for bait for future hunting or fishing, and then conceal anything in a fire pit away from that water source so pursuers are less likely to stumble upon whatever we leave behind us. But once we're done butchering our game with whatever implement we use, as part of our small first aid kit, we can have antiseptic or cleaning towelettes in that kit to use to clean off our hands and our tools once we're done. That way we prevent getting germs or any sort of parasites from whatever we kill off the landscape. Now, just because we have a modern survival kit in our pocket doesn't mean that we don't pull natural resources from the surrounding area when they present themselves. That way we increase the longevity of our kit, and we're not going to expend or use up all the items in our kit, especially to get a fire going. One of the things we have in this area is fat wood, plentiful. It has resin in it from the pine tree, which is flammable. We can make shavings at the bottom of our fire pit, and then taking out one of our fire starters, light those shavings for a tinder pile that will burn for a few minutes. And then we can slowly start adding on smaller material, growing into larger material until we get a good size fire going that is stable and sustainable. And then we can take our food that we prepared over a fork, stick, and place that over the fire to begin cooking our frog legs. We leave those over the fire until those frog legs are well done. We're not going to take any chances on getting any parasites or diseases, because it will only make things worse in a survival scenario to get sick and have to escape and evade while suffering illness. Once we're done with that fire, our food is cooked, our water is boiled, we've gotten warm or dried out, whatever we need that fire for, that fire needs to disappear. And the simplest way we do that is by pushing all the dirt back on top of the fire and immediately extinguishing that fire, limiting the smoke or stopping it completely to prevent detection. Frog legs taste just like they sound. Delicious. They go better with hot sauce, but I guess we'll just settle for the smoke aroma from our fire. That's one of the benefits of doing these videos. Come out, demonstrate the skills, and then I get the rewards, and you get to sit there and watch me eat the rewards. Signaling is our next priority. It is an ongoing priority throughout the duration of our survival scenario, and we should be constantly aware of where our signals are, have them ready at a moment's notice, and then erect more signals as necessary for our situation. But we have an orange panel, we have our signaling mirror, and a whistle, both with 550 cord to act as a necklace, or we tie it off to our belt. We have a small LED flashlight, and we have two chem lights. One can be seen with the human eye, the other one, the purple one, is IR. That can be seen with nods or night vision goggles. But we have a wide variety of signals to use during night and daytime, auditory and visual signals. Navigation is our next priority in survival. Should have a small printed out map as part of our kit, and then multiple ways to find cardinal directions. Here we have a wrist compass and our button compass for land navigation. As part of our cargo pocket survival kit, our next priority in survival is making tools or the things necessary to survive off the landscape. Mylar blanket for shelter craft, different types of cordage for improvisation, zip ties, and then Kevlar cordage, a Commando saw, we have a small fishing kit, tape, wire, our button compass, and then our small Leatherman squirt that enables us to take down smaller materials or cut wire, whatever is necessary out in the field to craft tools for survival. As part of our tool kit, we have a small Commando wire saw. The Commando saw or small wire saw like this tends to get a bad rap because people don't know how to use them correctly. The correct method, if we're not going to use the bow frame technique like a buck saw, is to use the toggle method or handhold method with 550 cord at each end of the Commando saw and saw while keeping tension along the wire as straight as possible until we get through the material we're cutting. A simple technique as part of our tool kit inside of our cargo pocket survival kit is to carry zip ties as well as other various cordages to use for improvisation. We can take our field knife along with that spear shaft we just cut, and using those zip ties, attach our knife to the end and make an impromptu spear. Speaking of spears and fixed blade knives, we can go grab that digging stick we made earlier and use it as a baton with our fixed blade knife and spear shaft to create a simple frog gig. All we do is take our knife and our baton and baton our knife through the middle of our spear down a few inches, remove our knife from the spear, turn it 90 degrees, and then baton down again approximately the same length. And what we've done is created 4 tines or 4 splits in the end of that spear shaft. They can then take 2 sticks and place them inside those splits to spread what will become 4 tines of our frog gig. We spread them as far as we can, and then using our survival knife or one of our cutting implements, we carve those 4 tines into spear points. Once they're into spear points, we take our cordage, 550 cord, Paracord, Kevlar cord, or any of the cordage we have available inside of our survival kit, and we start wrapping and lashing those sticks that we spread our tines with in place until we have a nice tight frog gig ready for spearing. As you can see, our cargo pocket survival kit is very easy to use, has a lot of different items to affect survival, multiple components for multiple survival needs, as far as a signaling kit, a fire kit, water kit, tools for improvisation using materials from the landscape. We can take all of these items and fit them in our cargo pocket survival kit container, just that quart-sized bag, very easily. Pack all of them up, zip it shut so it is waterproof, place it inside of our cargo pocket, and then we can continue movement and move on with our survival priorities in another location very easily. Alright guys, that does it for this video. I hope you liked this video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment in the comment section. I always appreciate your feedback. I want to thank you guys for everything you do for me, for this channel, for your likes, your views, your subscriptions, your comments, your feedback, and your shares. And I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, guys. Thanks.